So uh, hopefully the recording recorded the sound. If not, I will have to cut and paste this a little bit and repost it. But I am going to still roll with it. I want you guys to, I'm just going to start over a little bit and hope it works out. I'm sharing today about the holiday heart and finding your path in the journey. And the main things that I want you guys to understand is three main things: understanding your heart, protecting your heart, and healing your heart. And so I was sharing to myself, apparently, that understanding your heart means really, understanding your heart means understanding the condition of your heart right now. Is it bitter? Is it bleeding, where you are, you just bleeding all over the place? Everything hurts. Just, you just can't function because your heart is cut and bleeding. That bitterness, bitter roots get into our hearts and they consume us. So are you bitter? Are you bleeding? Are you shallow in terms of you're just on the surface right now? There are no deep connections. It's hard for you to make deep connections. It's hard for you to receive deep connections. Everything is just shallow. Or are you on rocky ground? Is your heart rocky? Is it just nothing can penetrate it right now? It's just, it's hard. It's rock hard, rock solid, right? It's a rocky place. There are no roots can get in there. No nourishment can get in there. It's just hard and it's cracking because there's nothing that can penetrate right now. And wherever you are, or is it fertile? Like you feel like I'm in a good space. I'm in a good place. I am open to the experiences that are coming my way. I'm open to people around me. I can forgive. I am willing to forgive. Where are you? Understanding your heart in a storm kind of sets you up to being able to find your path. Because wherever you are, you're going to get to healing, you've got to set some boundaries in place. So you got to understand where you are so that if you are bitter, if you are bleeding, if you are shallow, if you are fertile ground, if you are a rocky, hard place, do you want to stay there? Do you want to stay in that place? Do you want your heart to continue that condition? And so with that, there has to be a self-check. You have to check in. Where are you? What's going on with me? Right? And that comes in that self-awareness. Like, here we go. How do you check in with yourself? How do you know if your heart is hurt? If your heart is bleeding? If your heart is bitter? You sit down with yourself and ask where you are. You know the situations that impact you the most. We're going into the holiday season. That means family. That means friends for many of us. What does that mean for you? What does your heart feel as you begin to think about the season, right? Are you going into family situations where bitterness is all consuming, where just the thought of it, you're just bleeding all down your shirt? Like there's so much hurt that you can't even function because there's so much hurt. It's so raw, right? It's so raw. The cut is raw and the cut is deep, and you don't know how to heal and seal that in and begin to heal your heart, because it's still so raw and so deep. Only you can find those answers. But first you have to check in with yourself just and figure out where you are. Who are the people that impact you the most right now, negative or positively? Where are you feeling the most anxious about, or who are you feeling most anxious about seeing? The situations, the toxic situations or the triggering situations that are about to come your way, especially as we approach the holidays, right? So being able to check in with yourself to know and understand the condition of your heart. Where are you? Because that's going to help you understand why you're reacting the way you are to certain situations. And being able to share that information with trusted friends, with the loved ones around you that you do trust, with the friends and family that you have with you that you trust. You have to share that information or let them know where you are, so that if you do pop off, because some of us will pop off when we're feeling some kind of way. I'm not talking about myself or anybody, but I'm just saying it happens, right? When we're not in check with our emotions, when stuff triggers and happens, and we're just not feeling 100, and then especially somebody say the wrong thing or call mom too many times, and you've already told them what they needed to do. I'm just saying, maybe it's just me. Could be. But if those around us don't know that we're struggling, then they don't know, okay, well, maybe I need to leave her alone right now. Or maybe I need to check in with her. Like you check in with people when you have a feeling. I shouldn't say you. I don't know how you guys roll. I usually or try to check in with folks. And if certain folks pop off the wrong way, I try not to give what I get. That's not always easy. But if I know they're going through something, then I give them, I can be a little more graceful with not giving what I get, right? Because I'm gonna be honest with you. The older I get, the more my filter leaves. Or hey, can you get my water on the table? Thanks. The more my filter is jacked, to be honest. So I have to be intentional about checking in with myself and checking in with other people, especially when if I know that something's going on, thank you, babe, then I can be a little more graceful, right? Same with us. If people know what's happening, then they're more likely to give you a little more grace when you are not a 100, right? When your filter is all the way off and you just saying all kind of stuff that you don't need to be saying. I'm just talking about myself. But that's true and that's honest. So being in check with yourself, and if there are things that as you begin this walking this path, and whatever your storm is, the storm is usually two pressure systems coming together. For me as a mom during the holiday season, I have the pressure of, doing things for my family and kind of creating memories for my boys. But I also have the pressure of all that's going on inside. And so it can be a whirlwind. It can start some stuff. And I have to be in check with where my heart is. And, especially now that my boys are older, and just being able to say, today is not the day, guys. I'm not feeling it today. I think it's harder. Well, it's different with littles, but you can tell a little, mommy's not feeling it today. Mommy's heart hurts today. Or mommy's, you know how to talk to your kid. Mommy's sad today. Let's play. Or mommy needs a timeout. Mommy needs a timeout. I'm going to my room. I'm going to have a timeout. You want to have a timeout with me? Let's go have a timeout, which would be a nap for me at this point. Right. But understanding where your heart is and is going to help you to get to your healing. Because once you understand, then we can start the process. You have to make the decision. Is this where I want to be? Right? Why is my child yelling upstairs? See? But understanding your heart gives you an opportunity to figure out what help you may need. Is it a trusted friend? Is it a therapist? Is it a coach? And what level that you may need. Like we had a grief coach that's on last week, Jashina, and I'm a personal development coach. I like to help people figure out where they are now and to get to their next level in their personal development, getting unstuck and really breaking down some of the barriers that are keeping them stuck and feeling lost. John, can you tell your brother to be quiet? And you guys may not hear him, but he's really distracting me. So understanding where you are, getting the help that you need in that process, because some things may be too deep. If you are raw and bleeding, you have a raw and bleeding heart right now, you need stitches. You need a temporary fix. You need to close that up so it can begin to heal, right? And that might not be an easy task depending on what it is. You may need some immediate assistance, right? If there are bitter roots growing in your heart, you're going to need to figure out how to snip some. One, you're going to have to decide if I'm ready. Because to get rid of bitterness, you got to take some forgiveness medicine. And the forgiveness is not necessarily for the person who hurt you, but it's for you. It helps to alleviate, it helps to cut down those bitter roots, to dissolve those bitter roots. And it's simple, but it ain't always easy. But it's necessary, right? If you want to get to your healing. But before you can get to the healing, you have to have protection. You have to protect your heart, because wherever your status is, there are going to be some boundaries that you need to set. If there are bitter roots, you have to set some boundaries in terms of how you are receiving the world right now, right? Because a lot of times when we are walking with bitterness in our hearts, everything and everybody gets on our nerves. We're very sensitive because if someone says or looks like the person who we're the most angry at, if we're in a situation that triggers those roots, that situation that those bitter roots emerge from, it just makes it grow. We automatically think, oh, here we go again. And so we shut people out, we shut people down, we don't engage, we don't experience new things because we are stuck we're tied up with these bitter roots that are keeping us tied down and blocked, right? So understanding that those are bitter roots and being able to protect your heart in that, to say, okay, I have to do some things differently if I want to get to my healing. I have to protect my space right now because I do see X, Y, and Z as trouble. I do see it as a trigger. So I can't engage in that right now. But not because I think they're going to do something, but because I need to work on me. I need to work on getting through, cutting down, dissolving these roots so that I can begin to receive the world better, that I can begin to receive love into my heart again, that I can begin to receive love for myself again. Right? We don't always, when we're bogged down in bitterness or we're bleeding or we're in these shallow places in our hearts and hearts, we can't even give ourselves the love that we need. We don't think we deserve that love anymore because of whatever's going on in our situation. So really understanding, Hannah, where you are and beginning to set clear boundaries to move to that healing, to protect yourself from situations or people that may trigger you, and understanding why you're setting these boundaries and speaking these boundaries to other people, right? Think of it as, if you're in the hospital and you're sick, right? You're trying to get healed. There are certain things you can't do anymore in that time. The nurses are there, the doctors are there to protect you from your everyday behavior. Your food is maybe different because they're protecting you from the bad food that caused you to be in the hospital in the first place, right? Your company is different. You might only have one or two people who can visit you at a time, and those are selected, so everybody's not in the room with you at a time. That's a protection. So what you consume is different. Who you are around may be different, and the things that you do may be different. Because to get to the healing, we've got to do some different things. So understanding where you are, kind of protecting where you are right now, because it's almost like saying, okay, let me stop, figure this thing out. While I'm figuring it out, I'm going to let you know I'm figuring it out. I might need a little help. I might not. I don't know yet. But I want to get over here. I want to do the, I want to be in a better place. So to get here, to begin my healing, I have to be in a safe space, right? That's that protection, creating that safe space. So whether you're not talking to yourself, but talking to a trusted friend, a therapist, a coach, or yourself, journaling, art therapy, whatever it is to help you process where you are right now, that helps you get on your new path, because the storm is going to come. You can't avoid the storms, right? Life is a bunch of pressures coming in at you. You don't expect it sometimes. Sometimes you do. Like the holidays is almost like a setup. Certain stuff is going to go down because it's just the way it's set up, right? That family might be involved. If there's loss, that you know what you're dealing with, and you know how it creeps up on you, right? But understanding that and voicing it, because a lot of times we know it in here, but we don't speak it. And once we begin to speak it, it loses its power, one. And when we begin to speak it, we can begin to process it because we're hearing it, where someone else is hearing it. And if you got good people around you, they'll ask you questions to make you start thinking about things differently. So you got to get some good people around you, right? Then you can get to your healing. And that's not to say it's going to be automatic, right? There, you might have to keep going through that. That's a cycle. That's a process. it depends on how deep the roots are, how deep the cut is. And even in that, you might be healing from one thing, but something else happens that you get blindsided and you get cut again. Or another, somebody says something that triggers, and it just takes it just takes over, and you feel it, and another bitter root will pop up. The difference is now you understand where that came from, and you can decide how you want to handle it. Because many times when we don't understand what's happening, it just keeps happening. And we don't do anything about it. We don't know what to do about it. And it continues to grow and consume us. And when stuff consumes us, when bitterness consumes us, anger consumes us, feeling disrespected, feeling hurt, when all of these things consume our heart, they impact our actions, they impact our thoughts, they impact our actions, and they impact how we feel and how we react to the world, right? They impact what we do and how we do it. And it also impacts what we receive or what we allow into our space, who we allow into our space. Sometimes we block blessings. Sometimes we let the toxicity back in because it's what we're used to, because it feels comfortable, it feels normal, it's regular. So we just allow it back in. But we don't understand why, our bodies are beginning to deteriorate, because we're in these same patterns, right? We are, these roots of bitterness start popping up, and we don't know why we're just so angry all the time now. But we've allowed that back in because but that anger, that bitterness feels familiar. So we keep it because that's what we know. But when you begin to understand that anger and that bitterness is consuming you and it's making you emotionally and physically sick, then we can decide what to do with it. How do I get help with it? You start to look at the world differently. You start to ask different questions, and hopefully you can move into healing of the heart. And that, like I said, it's a process, but it's your process. And to get on your path in the storm, because like I said, we're going to have storms. It's going to definitely be during the holidays because, we're family. I'm sorry, that was a dig. And, some of us have, there's always one. You might be the one too. So, hey, there's that. But there's always a storm happening. In the holidays, we feel it. It can feel even more, what's the word I'm looking for? Heightened, right? Because there's the sense of, well, you should be a certain way. You should act a certain way. You should do a certain way. Oh, don't pay them any attention, or it's the holidays. Just go over there for a little while. You don't have to stay. You don't have to. But it's still not good for you, and we allow that and we continue that, right? So, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. My child is upstairs being completely. I don't know what's happening to him. So it's very distracting to me. And I'm like, why are you upstairs? Like, I know he's on the phone with somebody and being goofy. Anyway. So on that note, guys, I think I am going to wrap it up. As you go through this season, check your heart, check where you are, the condition of your heart. Find the help that you need, whether it be a trusted friend, journaling, coach, or therapist. whatever it is, choose you in this. Choose your health. Choose your healing in this process, because the storm is going to come. There's always going to be a storm, but finding your path in the storm is understanding where your heart is, being able to protect it, finding a safe place for it, creating the boundaries that you need so that you can do your healing in that. And you can still walk through the storm. See, a path helps you go through something, right? It's not just, you're not just standing there, you're not just watching the storm, but you have to go through it because it's going to be there. But you still have to get to where you need to be and to your next level. And so finding your path, finding your way through the storm, even if it's okay, I need to sit this one out. But you're not hiding. You are intentionally sitting the storm out. It's a tornado. You're not going to go all out in the tornado. It's too much. You're protecting yourself. You're protecting your family so that the healing can begin, right? Dang, I just completely lost my train of thought. All right, loves. I think that's enough for today. Hopefully I didn't completely lose my first part because I had some good stuff in there. Well, I had to go back and see if any of that recorded. Hopefully this was helpful for you. I had some good stuff in there. And the second part was, it's the same, but a little different. So again, understand your heart, protect it, and find the healing that you need. If you want to talk to me further about how B.L.O.O.M can help you, bloom, thrive, bloom and thrive where you're planted. You can inbox me or just send me in the comments and I'll inbox you as well. There should be there'll be some Black Friday deals coming soon. So I'll get those out and posted to you guys so you can, we can begin to bloom together. All right, my loves, until next time, thank you for blooming with Alycia, and I will talk soon.